Hi everyone, it's Rebecca Ruber with Inside the Ring, and today on the show we have 140-pound professional boxer from Brooklyn, New York, fighting in the 10-round main event against William Silva on Saturday, October 16th at the Barclays Center, promoted by Triller Fight Club and broadcasted on Fight TV. With a record of 25 wins, 1 loss, 21 by way of knockout, we have Cletus Seldin. Welcome to the show, Cletus, and thanks so much for joining me.
I'm excited to be on. It's fight week and getting the last preparation before we get into it. You know, the haircut is like the biggest thing when you get into these fights.
Well, it is, and I'm glad that I caught you in this moment because I had a couple of people tweeting me when I was asking for questions for you, and they were wondering, the fans are wondering, what hairstyle, what hair color are we doing for this Saturday's fight? Are you able to tell us?
Yeah. So back in the day, I went with some purple. This time I'm going with the blonde mullet, going with the blonde, bleach blonde on top, brown on the side, going with the mullet.
Amazing. Love it. I can't wait to see the final look. I wonder if we'll be able to see the final look by the end of this episode.
We'll see. We'll see.
So how are you feeling? Do you have a lot of nerves? Are you just more excited than anything else? Just walk me through how you're feeling.
Usually like the last 2 days. So today is Wednesday. Thursday night I head out to the hotel. But it's just getting all these little errands done so that everything's perfectly in place. You got to be like a perfectionist on everything you do. Mm-hmm. So for me, at least, so if everything's not perfect, then I don't want to worry about it. So I'm getting every single thing done accordingly to time. And as well, making weight isn't the part as well people forget about.
Yeah. Well, do you have any superstitions that you do before every fight, or do you kind of just have a routine, but it doesn't matter if you stray from it?
The only thing I have now is I still wear the same fight underwear. Like, where's my fight underwear?
Get out. No way.
And I need my fight underwear. I still wear the same fight underwear. It's the same ones. I only use it for the fights, and that's my fight underwear.
Well, I mean, you've been fighting for a while now, so that's a pretty old pair of underwear.
Oh, man. Yeah, they're nice. I don't know what it was. It just became my fight underwear, and I make sure that I have. I used to have like weighing underwears, but then like company would send you underwear to wear. So I was like, all right, I'll get rid of that one. And another thing is, usually we wrap up the left glove before we wrap up the right glove, right before we go out.
And that was just something that you did, and I mean, was there a reason behind that, or it just?
I think it was like a superstition from my trainer who did it. So I kind of left that, and the right hand usually is my power hand. So it made sense to me at the time, and still do.
I mean, we've seen it work. So if it works, it works. Yeah. I want to start with you by talking about your very, very beginning. When did you pick up your first pair of gloves, and why?
22 years old was when I picked up my first pair of boxing gloves. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and my goal in life was always to be a professional athlete. I just couldn't find myself on the football field. You know, I'm only 5'7.5", so that wasn't going to work out. So I found myself in a jiu-jitsu school, like a local gym, and I got pretty good at it. And next thing you know, my brother's like, "Hey, why don't you do some stand-up with me?" And it was the worst. I was possibly the worst stand-up guy ever. We went to a gym that was local, this Atlantic boxing and boxing gym, where they had all these pros, and it became one of the best gyms I didn't know at the time in the country. So when we went there, I showed up and I went in the gym ring and got my ass whooped. I got beat up everywhere. I never seen a place where you go to the gym and there's a bucket of mouthpieces and just kids just grabbing mouthpieces going in. They're sharing headgears, they're sharing gloves. I'm like, wow, what is this? I'm like, I'm gonna get my own gear. I'll come back. And when I went back, I noticed that, you know, these kids have been boxing there for many years. I'm 22 years old. And I noticed that the kids that have been boxing forever, they kind of got bored of it, and they would only come 2 to 3 days a week. So I came, 5 days, then 7 days, and I went twice a day. And then with 1 year, I started beating all these guys up, the pros, the amateurs. I earned everyone's respect, and I was able to, make something out of that, which has been very successful for me in the boxing ring.
At what age did you go pro?
I would say 25, I believe I went professional 25. I've been boxing for 10 years, so professionally for 10 years. So
Okay. And did you feel like starting at 22, like you said, you have kids that have been boxing since they were 3 years old or just as they were beginning to walk. So what motivated you to continue this pursuit in the boxing industry, to go pro and not feel, I guess, not feel discouraged about those that were competing a lot longer than you?
because I was so bad at boxing, it was like almost a joke. Like it was so bad that I was like, I have to get better at this if I'm going to do anything with if I want to be at the time I want to go back to MMA. I went to boxing to maybe do MMA because the guys in MMA really didn't know how to box. So I'm like, all right, I'm really bad at this. I'm going to get really good at it. And the difference between me and the other boxers were I did play sports in high school. I did play, I was a wrestler. I was a football player. And I built a foundation of strength over everybody else. Everybody else is long and lengthy. I was like, all right, I am a totally different breed than everybody else that's in here. Plus, then I added in, hey, I'm Jewish. I'm a white kid from boxing. I'm from Long Island and I can punch much harder than everybody else. I already knew my ranking in the amateur game was not going to be there for me. I don't have the style. I was more professional. And once I really thought of it and put my mind to it, I said, okay, let's figure this out. And I went professional. And that first win you get is probably still one of my favorite moments all of sports. You're like, oh my God, because when you go after your own dream, there's so many people just saying no, 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 no. And then you go and prove them wrong.
Was there a specific moment in time that you remember that you realized that being a professional boxer was what you were meant to do?
No, I still believe I love football. Like if I had a passion, it's still football. I love football. And the great thing that I love about probably the sport of boxing is the fact that I can show my heritage as being a Jewish athlete, while other sports you can't do any of that. You can't represent anything else but whatever the organization tells you. So for me, being the Hebrew hammer and being able to show that and represent that in the ring is probably one of my favorite parts of boxing.
Well, speaking of your nickname, how did you acquire that nickname, the Hebrew Hammer?
As the amateurs, there would be these tournaments, and I would go all over the place around the country. And in amateur boxing, there's really no knockouts really or standing eight counts. So I would just go out there and just knock these guys out or give them a standing eight count. Everyone's like, who's that guy? What is he? I think he's a Russian Jewish kid. He has a hammer on him. And then I would go to another one, and they're like, oh, he's the Hebrew Hammer. So it's the name of the people that, you can't make up your nickname. It's the one they gave me, and that's the one I ran with.
Did you compete for the New York Golden Gloves, or did you guys have diamond gloves in New York?
No, I fought in the New York Golden Gloves. So I fought in it twice, and then I went open. So in my beliefs, you should do amateur boxing for about 3 years. You do all the tournaments, and then you do them twice. So once you're open class, you get to do them twice. And I was able to get all the way to the finals on my first time in the open class. I fought a gentleman named Eddie Gomez. The kid was 97 and like 1. He's like the amateur, like God, like, and I got over there. I lost to the finals to him. I was proud of it, and I was like, okay, I compete in all these tournaments, it's ready to go to pro. But that I fought in the national team for the New York Golden Gloves, the national team on their team. The Ringside World Championships, I won that, and it was basically off of my conditioning and power.
And speaking of just your power and how you train for major fights, just like this Saturday, what is your weekly workout regimen? Do you box every day or do you split it up? Like, can you tell the fans what exactly you do to get yourself in fighter shape?
So Monday through Fridays, basically, we go to boxing either in the afternoon or 5 days a week. I do hot yoga. I do hot yoga 5 days a week, no matter what. Like no one believes in it. I do hot yoga, and I do hot yoga Pilates. I do Pilates a lot. and it keeps my muscles very loose, very elastic, and I'm able to throw punches much better than I used to. And because I had 5 major surgeries, that's probably my biggest difference I was able to create. So
Oh,
yeah,
I
hot
would have
yoga.
never taken you for a yogi.
Oh man, I've been going to hot yoga for 5 years now, and it sucks because my new girlfriend, um, she comes with me to hot yoga. I can go to the boxing gym for 10 years, maybe 1 or 2 people talk to me. I don't talk to nobody. Like, I enjoy it that way. And all of a sudden she starts coming in, and now she's super friendly and everybody loves her. Now I gotta go there. People say hi to you. They will talk to you. I'm like, oh my God, she's ruined my rep. My rep game is gone.
Well, in regards to your transition from amateur to professional, besides adding hot yoga into the mix, what have you had to do to change your fighting style? Or did you even have to change your fighting style from what you used to do in amateurs versus pro?
Absolutely. During the amateurs, I didn't have a coach. I was just working with I was working out of the gym, but the coach wouldn't really like work with you because he was a big amateur coach and I had a professional style. So once I told some guy at a gym named Steve Damiani, I was like, yeah, I'm looking to go pro. And this guy named Big George, he's very known in the boxing game, was there. And he's like, yeah, you want to go pro? I'll take care of you. I didn't know Big George at the time. He just takes fighters, uses them, and they just like he takes money from these guys who make $800 kind of guy. And this guy Steve called his trainer named Pete Brodsky down in Florida. I didn't know at the time Pete trained 5 world champions. He used to be used to run the Westbury Boxing Club. And at the time, I heard there used to be sometimes to 20 professional boxers in the gym when he was there. And that's just like mind blowing. Back then, I guess the 80s and the 90s. So I went down there to Florida. He was a partner with this gentleman named Ed Gersh, a Jewish like millionaire, big guy. And I went down there and just like put on a showcase for them. But I just took what I learned from football. Like, I've made my own DVD cassette. I've made my own highlight tape. No one helped me with that. And I sent it over. I brought it with me. They watched it, and then we went sparring. And it was not to the last day that they liked me, because the last day, instead of me going out there trying to punch as much as I want, they said, go ahead, box a little. I said, I'll box. And I was nice and slick, and I knocked the guy down that they had a fight coming up for. And when I came back, they wanted to sign a contract with me. And Ed Gersh at the time, they really wanted to bring up their own fighter, a Jewish fighter, and make something out of them. And that's it. That's history.
And here you are. You're about to be the main event at the Barclays Center this Saturday. But there was note that I got. You were deep in training for a fight at the end of October. Then that fight was canceled, and then you got the call for this event. How did this opportunity come into play for you? What happened with the fight that was supposed to be at the end of October? Can you give us any details on that?
So I was originally training for a September 4th bout. So I started, like, my whole summer was basically to train for the September 4th bout. When I showed up to the weigh-ins, my opponent, I guess he faked his history report on his eye exam, and they found out about it, and they basically canceled the fight.
Wow.
So I'm just like, oh, wow. And then a couple days later, Joe DeGuardia from Star Boxing called and said, hey, we got you on the Joe Smith card if you want it, against William Silva. So okay, look at it. Yeah, I'll take it. And then 2 weeks later, turns out Joe Smith gets COVID. Joe Smith's from the same gym I'm from as an amateur too. So it's kind of funny, like, 'cause we know each other very well. He gets COVID, and like, all right, I'm just gonna go hang out and do nothing for a little bit. And then I got the rest, which was great. And then I'm drinking bottomless mimosas, eating, I think, 8 pancakes. I think must have had 14 mimosas. And I see a message from DeGuardia. He's like, give me a call. And I'm like, all right. And I call him up, and he's like, I think I'll get you a fight October, was it 16th? When's the date? October 16th. for the Barclays Center. I was like, what? He's like, if you don't hear back from me tomorrow, it's off. I said, all right, I'll take it though. I'm taking it. Just like, promoters talk. You just want to just give it to him. Yeah. One day goes by, 2 days later, it's a Thursday. He's like, hey, the gringo. And he gives me a call. I'm like, wow. All right. And, when opportunities show up, it's up to you to take it. Originally, I wasn't going to be the main event. And then I guess after some talking, they decided to make me the main event. And it was I think it was like 11 days ago that we officially got the call for this fight. And I was already in good shape from the September bout. The week and 2 or maybe 3 weeks off definitely helped me, even on my birthday. So like September 11th, I ran 35 miles for my birthday, because we didn't have a fight. So I ran, and I was like, all right, that was my fight. I get to go run. So I'm in great shape.
Do a mile for every year?
Yeah. So I started doing this maybe 3 years ago. I started running. I did for 33. I did 33 years. It was the first time I never fought in like September or October, so I was able to do it. But last year during COVID, going through a lot. I left, my girlfriend left. I had nowhere to live. Family at 34 years old, like adopted me, the Ramseys, and they made me like one of their kids. And still grateful for that. And I live with them. But I was still kind of in a little bit of a dark place. So I fasted for 4 days, and then I ran 50 miles. I ran from JFK to Shirley, where I grew up, to my parents' house. And I was like, I'm into something today.
How do you grow that discipline to be able to run 50 miles? I run a mile and I'm huffing and puffing, and I'm in pretty decent shape. Or so I think.
I know I can run 20 miles pretty good. So, and I ran the 33 before and the 34. And then like the week earlier before I did the 50, I ran 20. So, but I was originally just going to run 34 miles, but my buddy who picked me up, he's like, 50 just sounds better. I'm like, all right,
You can't back down from that. Once he says 50, you can't do any less.
Oh man. And so you got the little app, you just like mark your thing. I'm like, JFK, come all the way down here. Gotta leave at this time so it's not too late. And I remember the first mile, it was hard because I haven't eaten nothing for 4 days. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna find something today, motherfucker. Like we're gonna find whatever you in search of, motherfucker, because you've been through all this stuff. You're gonna find that today. And boy, whoo, did I. Halfway marker, like Bayshore, got to relax a little bit. But every 7-Eleven I stopped and I got a drink. And sometimes those drinks came a little earlier because my legs were just dead. And I just remember finishing the 50 miles, how different it was when you finish a boxing match. Everybody's in the ring cheering for you. Backstage, everyone wants to say hi to you, take a photo with you, your family's there. When you run 50 miles, ain't no one there. I went to my car, grabbed my keys, and drove home in really bad pain, and took myself out to dinner. I got a nice, my favorite place is in Sydney on Long Island. Got a tomahawk steak at the bar, ate it by myself, and enjoyed myself that night. And then my roommate took me out and they had a little party for me I didn't know about, but I appreciated that.
That's awesome. So clearly you were physically prepared for this fight that you didn't know you were going to have up until a few days ago. But has anything changed in your training since finding out that you're fighting Brazilian boxer William Silva?
Yeah, so usually I do it on training camp in Florida, but because of short notice, I just said I can't waste the 2 days of traveling, which could be maybe 3 days to give or take, traveling back and forth. And with all these restrictions going on, it just wasn't worth it. So Joe Gadigian at the Westbury gym had some amateur fighters that kind of are the prototypical fighters that are almost just like Silva, little tall, fight straight up, they throw their punches. So I was able to get a lot of rounds, a lot of work with those guys, and still be at home to be able to deal with all my my rehab stuff like the hot yoga, physical therapy, or the acupuncture that I do as well.
What's your game plan going into Saturday night's fights? Are we going to see a different style from you than what we've seen in the past, or what do you have going on?
Well, you guys haven't really seen me in action, especially on the Triller Network, but I'm coming to knock you out. I get knocked out. I put on a show. I throw over 100 punches every round. I'm in your face. When you breathe, you're gonna just breathe on my mullet right down there. Just you gotta take that big breathe. Man, this thing is just so good. It's so fly. I'm like, wow, that is a really nice mullet. And Ben, I hope it could probably get some blood in it or whatever. But I'm there to put on a show and be back on that platform. And I'm excited to be on the Triller Network with everything that they produce, and the whole entertainment factor is like perfect match in heaven for me.
Well, it was funny when I was offered the opportunity to interview with you, and I was looking at your name, and I'm like, this guy sounds so familiar. I haven't heard this name in a while, but why does it sound so? Like, why do I know this name? And I looked up your name, and the first thing that popped up was Cletus, then Zab Judah, and I was like, holy shit! This was what the people called the underdog.
Yeah.
Of that fight. Now, I wanted to ask you, as soon as I realized how I recognized your name, what was it like leading up to that fight, knowing that you were referred to as the underdog? How do you take that that constant kind of put down of people just not believing in you and your ability to beat Zab Judah, and how did you put that emotion to the side and end up taking home the W?
There was a lot going into that, because first thing my dad said, my dad's from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He's like, "Oh, you can't beat Zab Judah. He's from Brooklyn." I said, "What?" He said, "What?" And in my mind, I'm like, I'm the favorite. I'm going to go do all this and train as hard as I want, and there's no way I'm going to lose this fight. And the next thing you know, I go to there's like a press conference, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm on the left side. This is the B side. Like, what's going? This is my promoter. And I wonder, I'm like, why am I speaking first? I then found out the promoter had a contract with Zab Judah, and I'm the B guy and he's the A guy. I said, no flocking way am I letting this guy come in here, the promoter or Zab Judah, leaving, trying to play me like that. And I trained from there on. I even told the trainer that, don't you stop this fight. I'm not only getting that, I'm getting my bonus for my knockout as well. So when round 11, they told me, hey, it's round 11. I said, let's go get that payday for that knockout. So I'm getting my bonus, and I fought for that bonus, and I got it.
Well, it was well deserved. What are your emotions walking into the ring and standing there staring at your opponent just moments before you're about to throw your first punch?
So everything is super calm and relaxing until I get my hands wrapped. Once my hands get wrapped, like that animal that I have inside me just becomes something. Because legally now I can do whatever I want according to the boxing rules to seriously hurt somebody, and that person can do it to me, and I'll literally become some kind of animal. And then when I get into the ring, you have done everything possible to get yourself here. In the amateurs, sometimes you make sure you don't try to do everything, because in case you lose, you gotta have this reason. For me, absolutely not. I put everything into it. I know what it takes, and I don't want to look back at my career or my life or that night saying, "Oh, I should have just did a little bit more," while I'm in the center of the ring when I'm about to fight the guy.
Well, I have a couple more questions before we go into our speed round game that I like to conclude with. First question being, do you have any words to say to your opponent that you will be fighting this Saturday at Barclays Center?
As soon as he gets to New York and he stays COVID free and we do the weigh-ins, I will be completely happy with that alone, because I got all the way up to the last one, to the weigh-ins, and then the Joe Smith thing. I just want that to happen. I'm just so happy. Please just do that. And I hope he enjoys his trip here. There's a great show going on that night, and hopefully he enjoys that, because I don't know. I just like to live in that hell they call that, fire, breathing down your whole neck and just taking away everything that you enjoy. I'm sitting there let's go. This is my thing. So I don't think he's gonna be too happy about that. But the show's gonna be really good. So if you can stay after and watch, you know, the super guy, and that'd be great.
Do you have any words to your fans that will be listening to this episode of Inside the Ring?
Oh, the Hammerheads are going to be in attendance. I love them. They're drunk, loud, obnoxious, rude. They are insane. They are not polite people, and I love it. I love it. You know, they're like the Raiders of the fans. Like everybody in the whole league just hates these people. Like they're just like, what are they doing? Like they're the worst. And that is what it is, and I love it. So they're going to be in full effect. And as soon as I always said, if you come to one of my fights, you know, next time bring 2 or 3 people, because they're going to bring 2 or 3 people after that, because I'm so much different than what you see on regular boxing on TV.
Well, I hope to see that firsthand. Now, we're going to go into what I call unboxing the boxer more specifically is this segment.
All right.
Pretty much what I do is I ask you a bunch of random personal questions, and you just answer with the first thing you can think of. So Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. If you weren't a pro fighter, what could you picture yourself doing?
Professional boxing, or I would own a comic book shop.
Okay. Favorite sports team?
Dallas Cowboys.
Favorite food?
Oh, that's going to be pizza.
Very New York of you. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie is A Dark Knight with the Joker, Heath Ledger.
Of course. Favorite musical artist?
Oh, my favorite, Tekashi 6ix9ine, is by far my favorite artist. Everybody hates. I love this guy. I wish he came to the fight and walk out with me. He's my favorite.
We got to get this out to him. I don't know if he's still in New York. I don't know, but that's a very unpopular opinion. But I like your answer.
I love it.
Who is your favorite boxer besides yourself?
Henry Armstrong, the greatest boxer of all time. He owned 3 of the 8 titles. He should have had 4, but the referee kind of shaked him on it. But he literally came out every fight of every round and just went tugging to war, threw a lot of punches, and just wore people down. Henry Armstrong is the greatest fighter of all time.
What is your biggest fear?
Disappointing myself, and not taking advantage of opportunities when they present themselves.
Your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday, probably my birthday. I think they celebrated my birthday for a whole month this year. It was great. I still get birthday messages.
Any excuse to celebrate, right? Things that annoy you the most, or thing, if it's just one thing.
Making weight is probably the most annoying thing. And then it's not just making a weight, it's people talking to you outside of like I'm prepared to have an interview with you, but then when people are just like, oh, how's your day going? I'm like, come on, that really annoys me. Like, just stop, please.
What was your first job, if you had a first job?
13 years old, I worked at Meineke Mufflers. My dad got me the job for bending pipes. He got my brother the same job when he was 13 years old. And it taught you one thing very important. It's either you like working manual labor or you don't like working manual labor. And I fucking knew at 13 years old, I am not getting a job to do manual labor.
I would rather get punched in the face continuously than do manual labor. That's
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm allergic to grass, trees. Like, I can't be doing any manual labor at all.
What if you have a middle name, what is your middle name?
My name is Lewis, or Reuben Label is my Jewish middle name.
If you had one superpower, what would you like to have and why?
Ooh, my superpower would definitely be, I probably want to be a little bit invincible, so I could hear everybody talking a little smack, you know? It's like, oh, what are you doing over there? Oh, yeah, I got you. I'll come out to it, like I told you.
And your favorite snack?
My favorite snack is probably fruit. I love fruit so much. I ate so much fruit that actually made me fat. There's so much sugar in it, so I cut fruit out of my diet for this fight, and I was so upset about that.
Oh wow! What are you excited to eat once you make weight?
Once we make weight, I usually get the same thing. I usually get a steak, asparagus and mashed potatoes. I tell the waiter or waitress to cut it in half. Only bring half out because if someone play, I'm gonna eat it all. So just bring half out. I'll eat that. Go back to the hotel, take a nap, and eat the rest of it.
Sounds amazing. What country would you love to visit?
I want to go to Japan. I want to go to Japan. I'm a big time toy collector. So, and you know, they got the Pokemon stuff too. I got like that little like kid still inside me. So Japan, even my girlfriend said, "Hey, if you ever get married one day, our honeymoon's gonna be in Japan." I said, "Let's go."
Well, I heard that you have quite the Funko collection. How did that
Mhm.
get started?
I never seen Star Wars, never seen Marvel, and next thing you know, like my girlfriend at the time was like, "Oh, you know, she bought me like one of these Star Wars things." I was like, "Oh, whatever." And I put to the side, there's like all these characters on the back. I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm never gonna buy all these things." And then next thing you know, turns out these Star Wars Funko Pops, you know, they have like this collectible line, and it's like little bobblehead vinyls, do all these Star Wars movies. So I bought them all up, and then I started watching all the movies, and I was like, "Oh, I really like these things." Then I watched all the Marvel movies, I'm like, "Oh, I really like these things." Then it turned out that these figures that I bought are valued at tremendous amount of money. So, for instance, I sold a Funko Pop on Sunday for $3,500.
Get out.
Yeah, $3,500. The Flock Chewbacca Funko Pop, 480 pieces, and there's a video of me buying one for $12,000 on YouTube.
Insane.
Then someone just offered me $25,000 for it. I have the messages too for that particular pop. So it's like this is like stocks, like you hear like Pokemon like that.
Yeah.
Funko Pops are just like that, and the collectible game is it's so much fun. Like that's what I was doing earlier today. I should have been doing other stuff. I was just playing in my big toy box that I got.
That is there one specific Funko that you have that no matter what you'll always keep, or are you like, for the right price, I'll sell all of them?
There's a holographic Darth Maul. It's like the legend, the god, like the Funko Pop that everybody would want in their Star Wars collection or any collection. It's like the piece to have. And I always said, if I'm gonna die, just bury me with that bad boy.
Okay, circling back to our final question. What is your 5-year plan? Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
5 years, I want to stay in boxing as long as I am able to own and afford my house. I don't want to buy like a down payment. I want to do something that my parents still fight for today is owning their house. I want to be able to own my house. I want to own it in Bright Waters. That's like my right near Bayshore, right on Long Island, Suffolk County. And I want to own it and be like, that's my house. I worked all this time and I was able to do something that many people in their entire lives never get to achieve, is actually own their home. And I got an awesome girlfriend. She can pay the bills on that one.
Yeah, on that note, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an amazing time talking to you. If you have any social media you'd love to plug or anything else like the fight, feel free to do that now.
Yeah, the fight's on Triller Network or fight.tv. If you have a smartphone or a smart TV, you can watch the fights up there, download the app. The fights are only from 6 to 9, though. So you got to remember that's the big difference from usually you watch the fight at 9, so from 6 to 9. My social media is Life of Cletus on Instagram. Half Gladiator, Half Geek is my YouTube channel. And I'm at my buddy's shop, Jedi Barber in Shirley. And my buddy Sean's been cutting my hair for about 10 years now. He does a great job. So thank you for the mullet.
Let's see the final look. How does the hair look?
Look, how's that bad boy looking? Nice and flow. He's got that flow on.
Oh, I love the curls. I love it. A lot of volume.
Yep. That's called a Jew flow.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and best of luck on Saturday, October 16th at the Barclays Center.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.